Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:06, and everyone within the sound of our voice now can vote. Polls are open across the entire greater Washington area, and frankly, the greater Mid-Atlantic. In fact, I'm pretty sure the entire East Coast is now open for business. Get out there and vote. This couldn't be a more critical election day, and we're here for it, and I'm glad you're here with us on O'Connor and Company. Joining us later in the program at 7:35, the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, and the lieutenant governor of Virginia, Winsome Sears, will join us at 8:35. I am Larry O'Connor. I am alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
And before Rich Anderson, the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, asks, no, we did not early vote, all right? But we're going to. We're on our way right after the program. We will be voting, Rich. And that's really the message today. You did a great job getting the early vote in Virginia, breaking records for Republicans in turnout. Now it's all about today's turnout, right?
Exactly. Good morning, Larry and Julie.
Morning.
Today's the day, and this is the focus not only of our activities this year, but let's face it, for the last 4 years, there has been an expectation that we would be facing a ticket this year and electing one that is headed by President Donald J. Trump. So today is the day. So if you did not vote early, what's important is to get out, as you say, and vote today.
Everyone's going to be trying to look at the returns in Northern Virginia and sort of do their spreadsheet and their deltas and their high-end calculus to figure out what it means. But I asked Mr. Chairman, on an election cycle when Donald Trump is running for office, and in a cycle where Virginia saw several Trump rallies, including 2 in the last 2 weeks, are you expecting major turnout in other parts of Virginia outside of Northern Virginia that could, in fact, offset the regular voting patterns here?
Most certainly. The other parts of Virginia have been turning out in large amounts. They have just been very pleasing to us. I just finished a 4-day fly around to the state with Hung Cao and his team. We spent a lot of time in those sorts of areas, a lot of time in Southwest Virginia, and that is a very effective strategy. It played a role in the election of Governor Glenn Youngkin, Winsome Sears, Jason Miyares, and so we are looking to those areas to offset the Democrat bastions around the state.
That's great. What are you hearing from people downstate, a little bit outside of Northern Virginia? I think sometimes when you're sort of living in Northern Virginia and covering this D.C. area, you don't hear so much about the greater Virginia area. What are you hearing from voters?
Well, with Hung Cao, for instance, we flew all around the state. I'm talking about southwest, south side. Just yesterday, we were down in deep southwest as far as Abingdon. We have been over to, in the last number of days, I was very surprised, but we went all the way over to Tangier Island, which is a Republican bastion. I have never been over there, but this was interesting to see this small island just displaying signs and enthusiasm beyond measure. Yeah. And so I'm feeling very good about these rural areas, very good about them.
Well, at a time when Hung Cao is going out there and getting votes like that, even at Tangier Island, of course, the Democrat nominee, the incumbent Tim Kaine, he went to talk to his voting base in the island of Manhattan to appear on Saturday Night Live. That was, what does that tell you that Tim Kaine is doing this Saturday Night Live sketch the Saturday before Election Day?
Well, I mean, who knows? Who can figure a logic being applied by any of these guys on the left? But let's just face it. He went up there. I don't think that was time well spent, and it was clearly a violation of the equal time rule. Absolutely. And I believe that they are going to rectify it. There are going to be in-kind matching commercials that are going to appear for Hung Cao as a result. I think President Trump encountered precisely the same thing.
Yes.
Rich, that's really good to hear, and I'm glad to hear that. I will say, just anecdotally, Rich, I got to tell you, I live in Alexandria, Virginia. I don't see any Tim Kaine signs. And it was so funny because that SNL skit where they were sort of making fun of the fact that nobody knows who he is, I think that is a contributing factor. I think that people in Virginia have sort of forgotten that he is a sitting senator and his career. But I've been really shocked by the lack of support for him, at least in my neighborhood, which is pretty solidly Democrat.
And I live in Prince William County, specifically in Woodbridge, Virginia, and I see exactly the same thing down here. So, but let's face it, what will really count is what happens today.
That's right.
Preceded by the cumulative impact of early voting, which, as you said earlier, we have made significant strides within the Republican Party, changing that culture where we drive out an increased number of individuals to vote early. But people who wait until Election Day, we highly respect them and encourage them to get out today, because today is the measure of the future of our nation.
We are speaking with Rich Anderson. He's the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia. You just mentioned Woodbridge. That's Virginia 7, right?
It's the confluence of 7 and 10.
That's right. It's right on the border. So I ask only because so much attention is being paid to Derek Anderson's run for Congress against Eugene Vindman, and I'm nervous because all this time I thought Derek Anderson, and he's been on the program, he always talks about how he grew up in the 7th Congressional District of Virginia, and he wants to win for that, and he's been getting it wrong all this time, because yesterday Eugene Vindman on CNN said this.
When I campaign, I've campaigned in every corner of the 11th District.
Every corner of the 11th District? I thought it was the 7th District, Rich Anderson. What's going on? Eugene Vindman doesn't even know what district he's running in?
It's Eugene Vindman. I certainly don't know the man personally, but he has just been so gaffe-prone during this, desperate. They have taken issues that are really non-issues to use as lines of attack against Derek Anderson, when in fact the real question about the authenticity of a candidate in his campaign is with this Vindman character, because I spent 30 years in the uniform of the country, retired from the Pentagon in 2009 as a full colonel, and he is posing as a full colonel when in reality the nation told him, no, you are going to retire as a lieutenant colonel, and he continues to present himself as a full colonel. That is a big deal to senior military officers who wore uniforms, and I've heard it from literally hundreds of veterans as I've traveled the state. I've been living out of my suitcase for the last 6 months, and I've met tens of thousands of Virginians, and many of them who are veterans, they speak of that, and they speak about it with passion.
All right, Rich Anderson, we got Mike Clancy in 10. We got Mike Van Meter in 11. That's who's running in the 11th District, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. We got Jerry Torres in 8. We got Derek Anderson in 7. You've already mentioned Hung Kao. There's also a presidential election today, and there is a little attention being paid to that. The fact that Trump was in Virginia over the weekend, the fact that we're seeing some late-breaking polls here that suggest that it is way closer than it's been this entire race. Read the tea leaves, especially knowing what you know about the turnout in the early voting. What are you expecting tonight?
Well, this is politics. None of us have a crystal ball, so we can only prognosticate. But I believe that President Trump is going to astound us tonight, not only here in Virginia, but of course across the country. So let's let this play out. I was in Roanoke for the rally in the last few days, and of course back during the summer I was down in Chesapeake for that, and I tell you, enthusiasm was off the roof. So let's let this play out. But
all right,
I've got a lot of confidence.
Anderson, we've known each other a long time, and I know weasel words coming from you when I hear it. Let me ask you this: last time Trump lost to Biden, we're told, by 10 points, and in 2016
Correct.
Trump lost to Hillary by 5 points.
Correct.
What is your sense about how this might end up?
My sense is that he can win Virginia. So let's let this play out. He can most definitely win Virginia. But these polls that you have seen that say there's an 8% gap, a 10% delta, I would not put any stock into that, and I simply would not, Larry, because these polls are.
Oh no, it's not 8%. There's no chance, and frankly, I think
of course
it's not 5% either. I think it's. It's.
I'm on the ground. You're on the ground, and it is not.
Well,
listen to the people, and the people are speaking today.
As you know, Rich, usually when I'm on the ground, it's with an empty bottle of wine in my hands. But yes, I still get a sense of what the people are doing. At a Virginia winery, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Rich, get back to work. You've got a long day ahead of you, and we'll be watching intently this evening.
Certainly do. And tonight I'll be at the Westfields Marriott with Hung Cal and his campaign. I'm
Very
going to
cool.
MC those events. So
Fantastic.
maybe we'll see you there.
Rich Anderson, the man who has really breathed new life into the Republican Party of
Yes,
Virginia. Well done, sir. It's always great to talk with you. It's 7:16. Let's get to Jamie Whitten in the Hadid carpet cleaning traffic. Yeah, he said Trump can win Virginia. Very interesting wording there, but it's going to be very close, I think.
Need a new roof? Honor, respect, and trust your home with Valor. Visit valorhome.com.
By the way, in both of those elections where Donald Trump in 2016, he lost by 5 to Hillary, and 2020, he lost to Biden, we're told, by 10. In both of those, he got 44% of the vote in Virginia. And his vote count grew from 1.4 to, I believe, 1.7 million. I'm trying to remember the numbers in my head. 2020. So he will get more than he got in both of those elections, more votes, and it will be, if not within 2 points, he might even win it. He might even win it. We're taking your calls all morning long, too, at 888-630-9625, especially if you've been out there and voted. Let's turn to Nancy in Gainesville. Nancy, what's going on out there? What'd you see?
Hey, guys. Good morning. So I went pretty early, maybe about 6:30, and there wasn't a line. There was like a steady flow going in to vote. Lots of Harris signs. I tell you, a big, huge table for Harris.
Sure.
But the folks going in, they were grabbing the Republican sample ballot. So that made me feel real good.
Really? So they were walking past that elaborate, very expensive Harris setup and said, "Oh, that looks great. Give me the Republican sample ballot."
That's right. I was asked on my way in. I mean, it's a big, long line of signs for Harris, blue, 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 all the way to the door. And the guy's like, "Hey, would you like a sample ballot?" I said, "Nope." Walked right past him.
All right.
So, but they were nice. They were all nice. What I'm really worried about, though, is the what I call the closet Kamala voters, because I feel like there's a little bit of a flip of what used to happen with Trump, where people were a little Trump shy.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what I'm scared about.
Oh, these are the women who go and defy their overbearing husband to make eye contact while they vote for Kamala?
The shy voter. I've heard a lot about that. But honestly, Nancy, I feel like that is sort of a ploy. I feel like nobody's shy, or especially around our area.
Yeah,
nobody's shy about.
What's the backlash about saying you support Kamala?
Yeah, it's
Nancy, thank you so much for the firsthand report
Nancy.
in Gainesville. Appreciate it. Have a good night tonight. Keep it here on WMAL all day.
Thanks.
Thank you. Also, Ted in Fairfax Station emailed the show and sent a picture. No lines at his polling place at all in Fairfax Station, Virginia. So that's good to know. And we'll continue talking to you all morning long at 888-630 WMAL. One last sort of nugget about Kamala Harris as she's finishing up her campaigning here. As I mentioned, she did an 8-minute speech in Pittsburgh, 18 minutes on the steps of the Art Institute in Philadelphia, the Rocky Stairs, you know, and then just went back home to D.C. where she lives and dwells as a swamp dweller.
Tired.
Here's the thing about Kamala Harris. If she loses, we're not getting rid of her. She's not going back to California. She's staying here.
100%.
She's going to be Barack Obama's next door neighbor.
That's right.
Maybe rent out the place in the basement.
That's right.
It's bad. Anyway, the Politico Playbook has a story here from a New York Times profile of Kareem Rama, okay? This is called Subway Takes, which is a video series that he does with online, right?
One of these influencers.
Rama suggested asking Kamala Harris about Gaza and was rebuffed by her team. So, by the way, this tells you the Harris team screens the questions before she goes on and does these things, right? Well, I want to ask her about Gaza. And this guy's, Mr. Kareem Rama is Muslim.
Yes.
And connected to the Middle East and wants to ask about Gaza. No, can't ask anything about that, right? For the surprising take she was going to share, he was told she'd make, quote, a stand against removing one's shoes on airplanes when they sat down. However, Harris had surprised him with a different take, quote, bacon is a spice, she said on this
video to the
video
Muslim podcaster.
Rama, who is Muslim, doesn't eat bacon. So he suggested she voice a different, surprising opinion. On the advice of a staffer, Harris settled on talking about a pizza topping. But here's the thing. This is supposed to be spontaneous. So he says, give me one of your surprising takes. And it was supposed to be, taking off your shoes on the airplane. But instead it says, bacon is a spice. And he's like, dude, I'm Muslim. But the point is, the guy who does this video series says, let's do that again. Take 2.
Exactly.
Give me something else.
Yes. It's all manufactured. It's all there's nothing funny. There's nothing spontaneous.
Right.
By the way, this never went public because it was apparently so cringe
Right.
that they decided not to
That's right,
use it.
because they've protected her.
Yes.
They protect her. That's the New York Times, by the way, the subway takes thing. And it was never released because she sounded so profoundly stupid. And by the end of the week, she could be the next president of the United States. Could you please vote? Good God, it's 7:23.
Now
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:36, it's O'Connor and Company on this Election Day 2024. Keep it here all day long and into the evening. Of course, starting at 6 p.m., you're going to get the best election coverage with Mark Levin till 9 p.m. And then Vince Colonnese doing double duty tonight. He'll be picking up WMAL's official election coverage well into the evening. Coming up at 8:35, we've got Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears. I'm standing next to Julie Gunlock, who will also be standing right here. I'm pointing at you. Standing right here tomorrow morning
Yes,
as we
that's right.
as we digest the results
That's right.
of
Not
all
sure
the
we'll
races
sleep.
we're watching. No, there's no sleep tonight. Sleep is for the weak. Get out there and vote. And we're taking your calls this morning. What are you seeing in the polls right now when you go out to vote? 888-630-9625. And when you hear Spirit in the Sky, it should be evoking the images of the spirit of Virginia, embodied by your governor, Glenn Youngkin, who joins us now. Well, Governor Youngkin, you seem to really enjoy campaigning. And I got to say, I mean, I'm looking at the calendar. I know that you're about to start your fourth and final year as governor of Virginia. You've been all over the Commonwealth. I mean, are you coming to terms with the fact that this is your last election? This is your last campaign?
Larry, I am so focused on us winning this campaign today. And it has been so much fun to be with great candidates all over Virginia. I mean, let's just be clear. In the last 4 days, we've had Speaker Mike Johnson in Virginia last night in the 7th with Derek Anderson, down in the 2nd with Jen Kiggins. He stood on the stage with us and said the road to the majority in the House comes through Virginia. And then President Trump was here last Saturday. And he said, if we win Virginia, we win it all.
That's right. In fact, we have that. I want
everyone to encourage everybody, get out and vote today. Get out and vote. Listen, there is no way that Virginia loses if everybody gets out and votes. And if you've already voted, you got to go get 10 friends. And I am not kidding. Go get 10 friends. Call them up. If they didn't vote, get them out to vote. And if you have not voted, get out there. There may be long lines. President Trump was up till 2:30 in the morning giving speeches last night. You can go wait in line and cast your ballot for Donald Trump, for Hung Cao. If you're in the 7th, for Derek Anderson. If you are in the 10th, I need you to go vote for Mike Clancy. If you're down close to Richmond in the 1st, you vote for Rob Whitman. We got to go get this done, and so get out and vote.
All right. Well, you got me fired up, and hopefully you've got everybody fired up right now. Let's get to that rally that you participated in with President Trump, because you're right. He said this.
We win. I'll tell you what. We win Virginia. We win the whole thing without question.
Yeah, and, listen, you guys, I'm sure, had some conversations there. How's it looking in Virginia for the president? Because the fact that he's been here now twice, I think, or the Trump campaign's done 2 rallies in the last 10 days, including this one, the final weekend. There's got to be some internals that are telling you that it's within reach.
Yeah, let me tell you, including his stop in Richmond during the primary, he's been here 3 times. And Kamala Harris has not been here. I mean, listen, she hasn't come to ask Virginians for their vote. Donald Trump has come. Get out and vote for President Trump. The early voting was incredibly strong, and we've been working on this, since my election in 2021.
Yes. We
get out and vote early. We go into Election Day either with a much tighter race to overcome on our strong Election Day, or in a lot of cases tied or a little bit ahead going in. And so this is what it looks like in Virginia. It is tighter than anybody can believe. We got a real shot to swing the state today. We just got to get everybody out to vote. And that's why he came on Saturday. He came on Saturday to make a final request to vote for him. And we know the realities that when he was president, we had a strong economy. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden broke it, and he'll fix it. And when he was president, We had a secure border, and Kamala Harris, the border czar, unleashed chaos on America. Donald Trump will fix it. We didn't have any new wars when Donald Trump was president. And then Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, literally by projecting weakness around the world, we see war in Ukraine, war in the Middle East, China threatening everybody. And Donald Trump will fix it. And so get out and vote today. Get 10 friends. We have got to literally flood the ballots, and we will win.
Yeah.
Governor, we just got off the phone with Rich Anderson. He's been traveling the state with Hung Cao. I know you've been all over the state. Give us a sense, and gosh, your energy, it's so clear that the joy, people are really having fun out there. And Rich had that sort of same tone, just high energy, excitement, joy. Tell us the difference from 2020 to today. What have you noticed about the voters? How has the sort of mood changed?
Well, sadly, in 2020, we were in the middle of COVID, and we had policies in Virginia which were driving our businesses away, shutting churches, telling people they had to skip Thanksgiving with their family.
Yep.
I mean, remember that in 2020, and that was the craziness of 2020 that we were dealing with. And so in 2021, when we saw Virginians come together, Republicans, independents, and a lot of Democrats come together and say, no, we're not going there anymore. We have seen what progressive left policies do to Virginia. And we saw just a groundswell of enthusiasm and support. We're seeing the same thing today because Virginians, Republicans, independents, and a lot of Democrats have seen that Kamala Harris's policies, if you can figure out what they are, don't work.
Yeah.
They don't work. And when you unleash inflation, and when you think the way to fix inflation is literally price setting, and when you unleash that inflation on hardworking Virginians, and they can't even go to the grocery store without doubling over with the gut punch, they don't want to go to the gas pump, they certainly don't want to have to pay their rent, and God forbid you try to buy a house. I mean, this is what Virginians have seen. We've seen them turn every state into a border state, and we've seen it here with 5 Virginians on average dying every day from fentanyl overdoses that have just come over the border. We know that illegal immigrants have been committing violent crime against Virginians. And then, of course, we've just seen assaults on our military establishments with literally illegal immigrants from Jordan trying to crash through the front gate of Marine Corps Base Quantico on a box truck. This is real. And so the groundswell of enthusiasm where we all recognize that progressive left policies do not work. We have seen that common sense conservatism does work. And there is a groundswell happening not just in Virginia, but all across the country. And that's why today I think going to be a huge statement for common sense back in America.
And by the way, when we celebrate after this election, Governor Youngkin will be opening up a bottle of the 2019 Meritage from the King Family Vineyards. That's the winner of the 2024 Virginia Governor's Cup for the best Virginia wine this year, and a fine choice, by the way. Meredith loves a good Meritage blend, so well done there on that selection, although I know it was the First Lady who did all of the wine tasting.
You can count on that, but I will say one of the reasons why Virginia is soaring is because people want to be here.
Yeah.
And they want to be here to see our great sights and be tourists, but they want to move here too because, well, we have great wine. We have a great school system now. We have safe communities. We have jobs. Virginia has jobs. And people want to be in the Commonwealth of Virginia because they see a future. And that's the same sense that I'm getting as we campaign around, that people like the fact that even folks that didn't vote for me like the fact that Virginia is soaring, and they see the results of common sense. And they say, wait a minute, I want that in the White House. Wait a minute, I want to flip our Senates. Wait a minute, I want to extend the majority in our House. And that's what's going to happen today. We've got to extend the majority in our House, and particularly I want anybody who lives in the 7th Congressional District, get out and vote. Derek Anderson is an absolute rock star.
Yes.
This guy fought for our country. He's a Green Beret. He is going to go to work on the economy and the border and projecting strength around the world and public safety. He understands what it means, and I'm telling you, his opponent hasn't said anything other than the fact that yesterday he got confused in what district he was running for and told everybody he's been campaigning in the 11th. Well, okay, that's the wrong one. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we have got to win the 7th. And can you imagine? We flip the 7th and we send Derek Anderson, a true hero, into Congress. That is exactly what we've got to get done today.
I take it back. This is not your last campaign, but we'll save that conversation for another time. Governor Youngkin, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for joining us. I know you got a busy day.
God bless you. Get 10 friends. Get out and vote.
Thank you. And then drink some Virginia wine. It is 7:46.
Later this morning on the Chris Plante Show, and at long last, Election Day is here. One thing is for sure, the future remains to be seen. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Last night at Trump's rally, I believe this was the one in Pittsburgh, he was introduced by, well, talk about an extraordinary journey. He was introduced by Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
And it was quite an endorsement.
He got mocked by the left for saying he would be a protector of women. He will be a protector of women, and it's why I'm voting for him. He will close the border. He will keep the boys out of girls' sports and where they don't belong. And you know what else? One more thing. He will look out for our boys, too. Our forgotten boys and our forgotten men. Guys like you. Guys like these guys who've got the calluses on their hands.
And she goes on to talk about the men for Kamala and how they're
disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly just really want to take a moment to say this resonated so much with me because I am so sick and tired of these never Trumpers and these so-called conservatives going out there on Twitter, for instance, saying, you know, I'm not voting for the man, you know, but I understand people who are blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm a parent, and Democrats in this country want to take away my rights as a parent to protect my child. Mm-hmm. They want to hurt women and girls in sports. So this idea, and they want to continue the narrative that boys who exhibit any masculinity are somehow toxic and psychologically damaged. Right. You go ahead and stay home and ignore this election and let Kamala get in office and see where we are. I care about women. I care about girls. I care about parents, and I care about my sons. And that's what is driving my vote. It makes me sick that people think, I'm just going to sit this one out. I'm just going to wait for 4 years.
Get over your feelings.
Get over
yourself. Get over your hurt self. Yeah. By the way, it resonated with you, and I'm glad it resonated with you. Megyn Kelly's appearance also resonated with Dana Bash
this was
on
great.
CNN, who just could not stop her kind of catty, jealous nature.
We're going to have to take a break. I'm being told that Megyn Kelly just announced that she is going to be speaking at Donald Trump's last rally. Megyn Kelly of blood coming out of her wherever fame. That's interesting. An interesting turn of events.
CNN.
Unbelievable.
Just the news over there.
Yeah. Megyn Kelly is magnanimous. She's smart. She understands what side to be on in order to look out for girls and women and boys and parents. That's what matters.
That tone, though, that you heard. You know my buddy Chris DeGaulle, who does mornings. We're both morning hosts, and we're very good friends, but we also do this pretend sort of rivalry. And whenever either one of us, reaches an achievement or gets something good, we always call each other and say, hey, that's great. I'm really happy for you.
It's a bit of a Newman thing.
Really happy. And you can hear, let's listen to that tone in Dana Bash.
We're going to have to take a break. I'm being told that Megyn Kelly just announced that she is going to be speaking at Donald Trump's last rally. Megyn Kelly of blood coming out of her wherever fame. That's interesting. An interesting turn of events.
Interesting turn of events.
She's so jealous. Megyn is such a powerhouse. Yeah.
It's 7:54.